The Beatles' White Album, or The Beatles, as it says right here, The Beatles. Produced by George Martin, released November 22nd, 1968. A whopping 30 songs, 93 minutes and 21 seconds. And you see here the ominous white album cover, which just says The Beatles on it, with a capital T, lowercase HE, and then Beatles in all caps. And it's in gray font. And they put it like it's right justified, almost. The back cover, you've got the disc 1 and disc 2, the names of the songs. And I was just going to pull out the insert. The insert's pretty cool. You got the names of the songs on the first page, and then you got pictures of the Beatles in color and in black and white on every page. And what's nice about this one is I have the lyrics. So that makes it a lot easier for me to listen to, look at the lyrics. There's a great picture of Ringo here. Let me show you Ringo right there, Ringo Starr. Yeah, so pretty good. A nice picture of John Lennon. Okay, and then on the back, you've got all 4 of them in black and white. And I won't go through every page, but... Okay, what about this album? John Lennon met Yoko Ono on November 7th, 1966. And she did not go on the India trip with the Beatles, but she was around. Like I said, this came out in 68, so she was around. May 1968 was when they spent their first night together when Cynthia was away on vacation. And, yeah, there's a whole Yoko Ono aspect to this album. What else about this album? The Beatles returned to their rock and roll roots, which was really instigated by Paul McCartney. He was really driving them to that. They dropped their psychedelia style, which was really prominent on definitely Sgt. Pepper's and Magical Mystery Tour. You could even argue that there's a lot of psychedelia on Revolver, for sure. Let's see. Paul McCartney is definitely paying homage to his favorite artists, and not just in covers, but he's really writing songs to pay homage to them. And a lot of these songs were written during their India trip, visiting the Maharishi and practicing transcendental meditation. So that's a big background thing. And also, this is the return of John Lennon, and I'll talk about that at the end. And also of note, the best song on the album is a George Harrison song. I think everybody would agree with that too. And we'll cover that when we get to that song. Also, Ringo quit, which is a major shocker. He quit and rejoined before they ended. And last thing before we get into the songs, the book. The book was very helpful. Not all 30 songs are in the book. You can see which songs are in here. But I referenced the book where I could. And in others where I couldn't use the book, I just researched. I have my typical spots, so... Sheet Music Direct, Sheet Music Now. And there's other ones. I'll bring them up when I get to them. Okay, let's get right into it. Disc 1. 46 minutes and 22 seconds. By the way, we're going to try to do this all in one shot. One video. The first track is Back in the USSR. It's 2 minutes and 43 seconds. It's a Paul McCartney song. There are 3 references in this song. Number 1, Paul McCartney is paying homage to the Beatles with all the vocal harmonies. And number 2, Paul McCartney is singing in his Jerry Lee Lewis voice. And number 3, he is inspired by Chuck Berry's Back in the USA, which is how they got the title, Back in the USSR. And Paul is on drums because Ringo quit during this time period. So it's actually Paul McCartney doing the drumming. Another thing that I forgot to mention, the Beatles are starting to work as solo artists. Even though this is a Beatles album, they're very much working as individuals. Okay, so that's also, and this song is an example of it. It's in the key of C major, and it's in 4/4 time with a moderate rock tempo. The verse is how the song opens after the introduction. Flew in from Miami Beach, BOAC, didn't get to bed last night. It's 8 bars. And then the chorus is I'm back in the USSR. Don't know how lucky you are. And that's 5 bars plus an extra bar to get back. There's another part of the song, which is the bridge. And the bridge starts out, The Ukraine girls really knock me out. Ooh, they leave the West behind. That's that Beach Boys part. That ooh, and the Moscow girls really make me sing and shout. That's Georgia's always on my mind. That's the bridge of the song. It's 8 bars plus a couple of extra bars. And then the last part of the song is a guitar solo. It's an 8-bar guitar solo, and it goes right back to the chorus after the guitar solo. It's a George Harrison guitar solo. I did verify that. When I verify things like that, I usually go to, there's this website called the Beatles, the Beeboo, Liberty Bibberty. There's a Beatles website called the Beatles Bible. They have a lot of really interesting trivia and tidbits. And so I did substantiate that, yes, that is George Harrison on the guitar solo. The song arrangement is verse, chorus, bridge, guitar solo, chorus, bridge, verse, chorus, outro. And that's back in the USSR. Track 2 is Dear Prudence. It's 3 minutes and 56 seconds. It's a John Lennon song. By the way, and I say this in the other videos too, in the other reviews, but these are all credited to John Lennon, Paul McCartney. But it's generally known that if it's sung by John Lennon, it's a John Lennon song, and he did most of the heavy lifting of the songwriting. If it's a Paul McCartney song, Paul McCartney sang it, and he wrote or crafted the song, but he sometimes, most of the time, had help from John Lennon. Not so much on this album. He's very much acting. He did get some help, and if you want to read about the Beatles Bible, the Beatles Bible or Genius, it all that trivia is in there. Dear Prudence. By the way, I've turned into a John Lennon fan over the years. It's taken me a long time to come to the dark side, like 20 years. But also, I'll say I like what Paul McCartney plays on bass on the song Dear Prudence. He's the governor. Dear Prudence is in the key of D major. It's in 4/4 time, played slowly with a slow beat. The verse is, Dear Prudence, won't you come out to play? And it's like a... Not much of a melody, but it is really effective. It's a 12-bar verse plus a bar to introduce the next verse. And then there's a bridge in the song. The bridge is when look around, round, 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 round. That's an 8-bar bridge. And it switches to 3/2 time for one measure at the end of the bridge. There's no solos. And that's Dear Prudence. You could say it's an AABA song. It's a verse, bridge, verse, and that's the song. The third track is a song called Glass Onion. It's 2 minutes and 17 seconds. It's a John Lennon song. Also, there's a recent movie. When I say recent, in the last 5 years, there's a movie called Glass Onion. If you haven't seen it, you should check it out. It's a pretty good movie. Glass Onion, a bunch of references to other Beatles songs, including Strawberry Fields, I Am the Walrus, Lady Madonna, Fool on a Hill, and Fixing a Hole. Glass Onion is in the key of C major. It's 120 beats per minute. It's in 4/4 time. The verse goes, I told you about Strawberry Fields. You know the place where nothing is real. It's a 13-bar verse. And then the refrain is, looking through the bent back tulips to see how the other half lives. The refrain is 6 bars. And then the bridge, there's a bridge in this song. The bridge is, oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. That's all John Lennon is doing. Looking through the glass onion. It's 10 bars. And then there's an outro. The outro is 16 bars. It's in 2/4 time. It feels like bum, 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 kind of that kind of thing. The song arrangement for Glass Onion is verse, refrain, bridge, verse, refrain, outro. So it's more like, it's not really a chorus, it's a refrain. Track 4 is Oh Blah Dee, Oh Blah Da. It's a Paul McCartney song. Paul loves the song. The other Beatles, they really hate it. They hated recording the song. There's a lot to read about this song if you want to go look it up. But John Lennon referred to it as more of that Paul McCartney, Granny, S-H-I-T. It's in the key of B flat major, which is why it sounds so different from other Beatles songs. It's a bright tempo, really fast tempo, and it's in 4/4 time. The verse is Desmond has a barrow in the marketplace. Molly is a singer in the band. It's a 16-bar verse, and the chorus is obla-dee, obla-da, life goes on. Ah, brah, la-da-da-da, life goes on. It's a 16-bar chorus. Everything in this song is 16 bars. The bridge is, in a couple of years, they have built a home sweet home. Okay, that's the bridge. The song arrangement is complex. It's a verse, chorus, bridge, verse, chorus, bridge, verse, chorus. Obla-dee, obla-da. Track 5 on the White Album is called Wild Honey Pie. It's a Paul McCartney song at 52 seconds. It's a solo song. It's just Paul in the studio doing all this. It's in the key of C major. It's 88 beats per minute, and it's in 4/4 time. There's no verse. Really, the song is just Paul going, honey pie, for 4 bars. And then there's a break, and the break goes, dot, 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 honey pie. That's the song. It does that for 52 seconds, I said? Paul's strumming really hard on the guitar. Ba, 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 ba. Okay? And it's a chorus, break, chorus, break, chorus. That's the track. Wild Honey Pie. Real country, okay? Track 6 is the continuing story of Bungalow Bill, 3 minutes and 14 seconds. It's a John Lennon song. It has a big Mellotron introduction. Also, it's a song that has the chorus before the verse, a la She Loves You or something like that. Yoko Ono has a legendary line in it in the third verse. And she's got this really high voice when she sings. But when he looked so fierce. That's what it sounds like. Sorry for the Yoko Ono impersonation. And then John Lennon sings, his mother butted in. Okay, that's the part. When it comes, I always go Yoko Ono. It's in the key of C major. It's very free tempo and 4/4 time. The chorus is the part where John Lennon sings, hey, Bungalow Bill, what did you kill, Bungalow Bill? That goes on for 16 bars. And then the verse is the part where John Lennon sings, he went out tiger hunting with his elephant and gun in case of accidents. He always took his mom. That's a 12-bar verse. It's got a really cool tempo to the song. It's just a cool song. It's a chorus, verse, chorus, verse, chorus, verse, chorus, outro. And the outro has some whistling and clapping in it. Track 7 on the White Album is While My Guitar Gently Weeps. It's 4 minutes and 45 seconds. It's a George Harrison song, and George Harrison is on lead vocals. Eric Clapton was brought in to be the lead guitar player and playing the guitar solo. The lesson learned was the Beatles could bring in guest musicians and they would all behave professionally in front of the guests. They also did this trick on Let It Be, where they brought in Billy Preston basically to play on the whole album because they realized that they were so successful. They were all like not getting along and bickering and bitching and fighting, and then they bring in Eric Clapton and everybody's well behaved. It worked. This is the best song on the album, in my opinion, and probably a lot of people's opinion. And I had a huge stage of this song back in 2003. John Lennon also is notable. He's playing a high-pitched organ in the song. You can really hear it. It's really ominous. While My Guitar Gently Weeps is in the key of A minor, and it's moderately in a 4/4 tempo. The verse is, I look at you all, see the love that they're sleeping while my guitar gently weeps. It's in 16 bars. And, you know, when in this song, it's got a real catchy, I guess, cadence to it. There's a version that you can hear where George is just playing it in acoustic. But I actually like the acoustic version a lot. Apparently the Beatles didn't like it, which is why he brought in Clapton to play lead guitar. The bridge is, I don't know why nobody told you how to unfold your love. It just kind of goes on like that. It's 16 bars. And then the solo is it's a big Eric Clapton, big muscular type solo of 16 bars. And this song structure is a verse, bridge, verse, guitar solo, bridge, verse. It's just got a really cool vibe to it. And it's why George Harrison is legendary, really. He's awesome. Track 8 is Happiness is a Warm Gun. It's 2 minutes and 43 seconds. Just thinking about this song makes me smile. It's a John Lennon song. I guess he was reading an NRA letter or an advertisement or something, and that's where he got inspired to write the song. I like the song. I'm an NRA member. I don't care if you know that. It's just a good song, okay? It's in the key of G major. It's 130 beats per minute. It's in 4/4 time. You can divide it up into 3 parts. Part 1 is The Dirty Old Man. It runs for 43 seconds. And it has a verse. And the verse goes on for 24 bars. And John Lennon sings, "She's not a girl who misses much. Do, 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 do. Oh, yeah." Okay, and that's the first part of the song. The second part is The Junkie. It's 43 seconds to 1:35, or it's about 45 seconds. Okay, the guitar solo is the first part of the part 2. It's a 12 bars and it switches to 3/4 time. Okay, and then verse 2 is in part 2 of The Junkie. John Lennon sings, "I need a fix 'cause I'm going down to the bits that I left uptown. I need a fix 'cause I'm going down." It's kind of funny. It's 12 bars. It's also in 3/4 time. And then there's a bridge, and John Lennon and Paul McCartney are both singing, "Mother Superior, jump the gun. Mother Superior, jump the gun." That's part 2, and then part 3 is The Gunman. It's a satire of a 50s, like a rock and roll song. It goes from 1:35 to 2 minutes and 45 seconds, or about 1:10 seconds. It's the chorus. The chorus is, "Happiness is a warm gun," and then you can hear like the background singers, "Bang bang shoot shoot." I don't know. I just should have looked it up, but it's probably Yoko and Patty. It's 8 bars and 4/4 time. And he's like, "Happiness is a warm gun, mama." And then the verse is, "When I hold you in my arms, oh yeah, and I feel my finger on your trigger." It's also 12 bars and 3/4 time. And then the outro is, it's the same, it's part of the outro is that chorus line. So happiness is a warm gun. He's doing that. This song is verse, solo, verse, bridge, chorus, verse, outro. And it's divided up into those 3 parts. It's one of my favorite Beatles songs, honestly. Track 9 is Mother My Dear. It's 2 minutes and 28 seconds. It's a Paul McCartney tune. This song isn't too interesting, but there are some strings and a horn in it, and that's what really sticks out in the song. It's got like a jingle type feel to it. It's in the key of E flat major. It's a moderate rock tempo in 4/4 time, but you can count it in cut time, so like 1 2 1 2, and it changes to 3/2 time occasionally. The verse is, "Martha, my dear, though I spend my days in conversation." It's a 14-bar verse, and then the bridge is, "Hold your head up, you silly girl, look at what you've done." It's a 15-bar verse, and there's a break. It's about 16 bars ish with that time change in there. It's like a jingly type song from Paul. It's a verse, bridge, verse. Verse, bridge, bridge, break, bridge, verse. So it's weird that it begins and ends with the verses, and then you got all these bridges and breaks in the middle of it. Martha, my dear. Track 10 is I'm So Tired. It's 2 minutes and 3 seconds. It's a John Lennon song with lead vocals by John Lennon. I like the third verse because he calls Sir Walter Raleigh a stupid git for inventing the cigarette. It's in the key of A major, and it's in 4/4 time. The verse is, I'm so tired, I haven't slept a wink, I'm so tired, my mind is on the blink. He kind of drags out the verses. It's a 12-bar verse. The chorus, or I guess you could think of it as a bridge. I even dug around whether it is this a bridge or a chorus. We can talk about that at the end. You'd say I'm putting you on, but it's no joke. It's doing me harm. It's a 12-bar bridge or verse. The outro, as I'd give you everything I've got for a little piece of my mind. It's a cool outro. So the song, I tend to believe it's a bridge. Verse, verse, bridge, verse, bridge. It could be either one if you substitute chorus for bridge. But I'm honestly not sure, but I think it's a bridge. Probably a bridge. Let's just say it's a bridge, okay? I say it's a bridge because choruses have a chorus you always repeat the same thing, or generally do, and you got multiple people singing, but I'll say it's a bridge. Track 11 is Blackbird. It's 2 minutes and 18 seconds. It's a Paul McCartney song, and this is Paul on acoustic guitar. I confirmed it's Paul with the Beatles Bible. It's a solo piece, and somebody tapping their foot or a metronome. It is Paul all the way. He's like tap, tap, tap. You can hear it through the whole song. It's in the key of G major, slowly and smoothly in 3/4 time, and 4/4 time, and 2/4 time, switching frequently. The verse is Blackbird singing in the dead of night, and it's a 16-bar verse. And then the chorus is an 18-bar chorus he sings once. Blackbird fly. I mean, I guess it could be a bridge, because it's just Paul singing. Either way, it's verse, verse, chorus, verse, or verse, verse, bridge, verse. Blackbird. Track 12 is Piggies. It's 2 minutes and 4 seconds. It's a George Harrison song. The song has strings in the second verse and a guitar and some percussion. That's pretty much the whole song. It's in the key of A flat major. Very odd key. Very odd. It's in slow tempo in 4/4 time. The verse is, have you seen the little piggies crawling in the dirt? It's got like a jingly type feel to it. It's an 8-bar verse. And the bridge is, in their sties with all their backing, they don't care what goes on around. It's a 6 or 7-bar verse. It kind of ends abruptly. And then there's a break in the song. The break is 6 or 7 bars. It's like the main theme of the song, and George Harrison, he's got me guessing on the time signature, the time of the, how many bars. It's such an odd, I'll say 6 or 7. It could be either. It's a verse, verse, bridge, that break, and then the verse, and then an outro. Piggies. Piggies is one of the better songs on the album, actually. Track 13 is Rocky Raccoon. It's 3 minutes and 32 seconds. It's a Paul McCartney song. It's Paul McCartney's version of a Western. It's in the key of A minor or C major. I'm going to count it as an A minor, even though the last chord of the song is a C major. It sounds like a minor modal to me. It's a moderate tempo and cut time. The verse is, now somewhere in the black mining hills of Dakota there lived a young boy named Rocky Raccoon. Paul's kind of like, he's not really singing it. He's more like rambling it out in 16 bars. The first and third verse are 16 bars. The second verse is really long. It's 24 bars. The chorus is, and Rocky Raccoon checked into his room only to find a Gideon's Bible. It's a 32-bar, really long chorus. Maybe it's not even a chorus. Maybe that's a bridge. It's got to be a chorus. Because the bridge section is Dan, 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 da, Dan, do, 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 do. It's a verse, chorus, verse, bridge, verse, chorus, outro. That's Rocky Raccoon. Track 14 is a Ringo Starr song. Don't Pass Me By. 3 minutes and 50 seconds. It is the very first ever Ringo Starr written song. And he takes lead vocals. It's in the key of C major. It's a 4/4 time, free tempo. The verse is, I listen for your footsteps coming up the drive. Listen for your footsteps, but they don't arrive. Da, 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 da. It's got that kind of a vibe to it. It's a 16-bar verse. The chorus is, don't pass me by, don't make me cry, don't make me blue. It's a really long chorus. It goes on for 24 bars. And then there's an interlude part of the song, which is the third part. It's just a quick 4 bars of a polka-like march beat. It's like a dun, 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 dun. Kind of does that through the whole song, really. It's a verse, chorus, interlude, chorus, and that's Don't Pass Me By. Track 15 is Why Don't We Do It in the Road? It's a minute and 41 seconds, and it's a Paul McCartney song. According to Genius, John wondered why and was offended that Paul didn't ask him for help with the song, with writing or recording or doing anything. It's pretty much a Paul McCartney show. It's in the key of A major. It's a real free tempo and 4/4 time. It's a very simple song. The verse is, why don't we do it in the road? Bum, 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 bum. Do, 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 do. Why don't we do it in... It's a 12-bar verse. I guess like Paul, they were in India and Paul saw some monkeys and he saw some copulating, and that he was like so shocked by it that he wrote this song. Like, it's such an offensive thing to see. Anyway, Why Don't We Do It in the Road is kind of a fun song to listen to. It's a verse. It's just those 3 verses. And I guess what I can remember about it is Imus in the Morning used to play it as bumper music occasionally. Not very often, though. Track 16 is I Will. It's a minute and 46 seconds. It's a real schmaltzy Paul McCartney crud. It's in the key of F major. It's a gently tempo 4/4 time. The verse is, who knows how long I've loved you. You know I love you still. It's 8 bars. And then the bridge is, love you forever and ever. Love you with all my heart. 8 bars. He's just really singing in this real schmaltzy voice. Honestly, this is a skip. Yeah. It's a verse, bridge, verse. I've already said more about it than I should. Track 17 is Julia, 2 minutes and 54 seconds. It's a John Lennon love song. So back-to-back love songs. This is a good song. It's a song that John Lennon asked Donovan to help him write while he was in India. And you can read all about it in Wikipedia and Genius. There's a great story behind it and how Donovan taught him how to play the guitar part. Also, this is the only solo John Lennon recording in the catalog for the Beatles, where it's just him playing. Like, there's all these Paul songs where he's solo. On there's a bunch of them, right? This is the only John one, so it's kind of surprising. It's in the key of D major. It's moderately and slow it's in cut time. So 1, 2, 1, 2. The verse is he's really singing in this light voice. Julia, ocean child calls me. By the way, ocean child is that's the literal translation for Yoko Ono. Yoko means ocean or sea and child. And it's a 12-bar verse. And the bridge is, her hair of floating sky is shimmering, glimmering in the sun. That's the whole bridge. It's an 8-bar bridge. John wrote this song. It's like Julia's his mom, so he's writing a song about his mom. But really, he's singing about Yoko Ono. It's kind of an interesting song. It's a verse, bridge, verse, and that's the song structure for Julia. That is the final song on Disc 1. We now move to Disc 2 of the White Album, which is 47 minutes and 7 seconds long. This is what the discs look like. The first track on Disc 2 is track 18, Birthday. It's 2 minutes and 42 seconds. It's a Paul McCartney tune, and he takes lead vocals, and also you have Yoko Ono and Patty Harrison on backing vocals. The key is A major, but there are key changes to E major and C major. It's a moderately fast rock beat in 4/4 time. The verse is, they say it's your birthday. Well, it's my birthday too. Yeah. Those are 12 bars. Kind of does that thing. The refrain, the first refrain is one of the key changes. Okay. It's when Paul McCartney sings, yes, we're gonna have a party. Yes, we're gonna have a party. And that is an E major, and it's an 8-bar refrain. And then the second key change is the bridge. And the bridge, this part is where I would like you to dance, birthday, take a cha-cha-cha-chance, birthday, the birthday. That's the Yoko and Patty. That's what they're screaming. It's kind of fun, actually. I would like you to dance, birthday, dance, yeah, woo, come on. That's, the bridge is in C major, okay? So you've got A major changing to E major, changing to C major. And then the last verse, of course, is in A major. So the song structure for Birthday is... Whoops. I'm having an operating system malfunction. Let's just scroll right back down to where we were. Verse, refrain, bridge. And the bridge is the instrumental verse part separates the bridges. And then another bridge, and then the verse. Okay, so verse, refrain, bridge, the instrumental verse, and then the bridge, and then the verse. And that's Birthday. Really good song. By the way, John Lennon totally, completely disassociated himself with that song. He does not like the song Birthday. Track 2 is the 19th track for the White Album. Track 2 on disc 2 is called Yer Blues. It's 4 minutes and 1 second. It's a John Lennon song. It's in the key of E major and moderately fast beat in 3/4 time. It's got like a waltzy da 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 da. And the verse goes, yes, I'm lonely, da 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 da. Want to die, da 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 da. It's a 20-bar verse. And then the bridge is the part where John Lennon sings, my mother was of the sky, my father was of the earth. That's the bridge. And then there are 2 guitar solos, guitar solo 1 and 2. Guitar solo 1 is 12 bars, and guitar solo 2 is also 12 bars. There's a minor change in the 4th verse of this song. And then after that verse where he sings about suicide, there's an instrumental part. It sounds like a song that Glenn Danzig would cover or would easily rip off. Okay, Yer Blues. The song arrangement is verse, verse, bridge, verse, bridge, verse, bridge, verse, solo, solo, instrumental verse, and an outro. I'm not saying Danzig did rip it off. I mean, it sounds like he could rip it off. Okay. Track 20 is Mother Nature's Son. It's 2 minutes and 48 seconds. It's a Paul McCartney song. This is the 3rd track of disc 2. Sounds like Paul singing, some acoustic guitar, some organ, and some light percussion. It's in the key of D major, and it's a slow tempo and 4/4 time. The verse is, born a poor young man, born a poor country boy, Mother Nature's son, 8 bars. And then the chorus is, do, 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 do. It's in 8 bars with some time changes. And then it's a verse, verse, chorus, break, outro. That's Mother Nature's son. Track 4 on disc 2 is Everybody's Got Something to Hide Except Me and My Monkey. It is track 21 overall on the White Album. It's 2 minutes and 24 seconds, and it's a John Lennon song. It's a good tune. It's in the key of E major. It's in 4/4 time. The verse is, come on, come on, come on, come on. And then he goes, it's such a joy, come on, it's such a joy. It's a 16-bar verse, plus a guitar fill at the end, so probably about 20 bars. And that's like the whole song is in that structure. There's no solos, bridges, breaks, none of that stuff. It's a verse, 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 and that's Everybody's Got Something to Hide Except for Me and My Monkey. Genius seems to suggest he was writing about his relationship with Yoko Ono. Like it's like right out in the open. They're not hiding anything. Track 22 is Sexy Sadie. It's 3 minutes and 15 seconds. It's a John Lennon song, and it's a song about the Maharishi, who at the time they were upset with that he tried to do stuff to Mia Farrow. This is track 5 on disc 2. By the way, George George Harrison later in life said that they were wrong, that Maharishi was innocent. So this track is in the key of G major. It's a slow tempo in 4/4 time. Sexy Sadie, what have you done? You made a fool of everyone. 7 bars. And then the bridge is, one sunny day, the world was waiting for a lover. Sexy Sadie. She came along to turn on everyone. 6 bars. John's really singing this out like is very emotional. Like you can tell he's pretty upset about it. What's weird about this song is you can hear a wow 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 or a la 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 in the background when he's singing. It's very different for a John Lennon song. It's a verse verse bridge, and that's the song structure for Sexy Sadie. The 23rd song on the White Album is called Helter Skelter. It's 4 minutes and 29 seconds. It's a Paul McCartney track, and it's track 6 on the second album. Paul wrote this song in response to I Can See for Miles, which is a song by The Who. Some have said that this is the very first heavy metal song ever written, although others will dispute that. But to me, it sounds like a prototypical heavy metal song. It's in the key of G major. It's a moderate rock beat in cut time. So 1, 2. The intro is Paul McCartney, and he's not really singing he's more like shouting. When I get to the bottom, I go back to the top of the slide. Where I stop and I turn, I go for a ride. It's 12 bars. See, Helter Skelter has 2 meanings this is what I read about this song. It has 2 meanings in the UK. It's both like a slide that you would slide down, like what a kid would slide down. But Helter Skelter also means like upside down, topsy-turvy, crazy. Okay. The verse is, well, don't you want me to love you? I'm coming down fast, but I'm miles above you. Ah! It's a 16-bar verse after that introduction. And then there's the chorus. The chorus is just Paul singing Helter Skelter, da 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 da, Helter Skelter, da 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 da. It's 8 bars plus 4 bars of music, so 12-bar verse. And that's the song. The song like starts and then it stops and then starts and then stops at the end. So it's an intro, verse, chorus, and then it stops and it starts again with the intro, verse, chorus, and then outro. And that's Helter Skelter. Track 24 on the White Album is Long, Long, Long. It's 3 minutes and 4 seconds. It's the 7th track of Disc 2. It's a George Harrison tune and lead vocals by George Harrison. I can barely understand the lyrics. Even reading along with the lyrics while listening to the song was very difficult. There is an organ prominent in the mix, and George Harrison vocals are mixed very low with an echo or some kind of effect. The effect makes it hard to hear him. That's probably why I don't like the song. It's in the key of F major. That's according to musicnotes.com, and it's in 3/4 time. The verse, it's been a long, long, long time. How could I ever have lost you when I loved you? It's an 18-bar verse, but the third verse is much longer than the first verse and the second verse. It's like more like 28 bars. The bridge is, so many tears I was searching, so many tears I was wasting. Oh, it's 12 bars. And that's the song. It's a verse, bridge, verse. Long, long, long. It's almost a skip, really. That's the second skip. Track 25 is Revolution 1. It's 4 minutes and 15 seconds. This is a John Lennon song, and he takes lead vocals. This is the version with a slow tempo versus the more well-known single, which is much faster. This is track 8 on disc 2. It's in the key of C major in 4/4 time, but the triplets in the first 2 measures make you mistake it for 3/4 time or maybe 6/8 time. But it is in 4/4, because after that introduction, it switches. It doesn't do that triplet thing. The verse is, you say what you want about a revolution, you know. It's a 12 or a 13-bar verse, depending on how you count it. Then there's a pre-chorus. The pre-chorus is different from the verse. It's like, but when you talk about destruction, don't you know that you can count me out? It's a 4-bar pre-chorus. I guess you could think, like, this is what's weird about pre-choruses. If you think back to the Rush songs, like a lot of Rush songs have it, is that really just a 16-bar? Is that the 4 bars that ends the verse? Maybe. I'm not a music scholar, but you could think of it that way. The chorus is, "Don't you know it's gonna be all right?" It's an 8 bar, and let me tell you, it's really grooving in this slower version, Revolution 1. Also, the shooby doo wop bop, shooby doo wop. That's really much more pronounced in the slower version than it is on the single version that you might hear on the radio, or the single version is also on the Blue album on this. If you've ever heard it, it's a much faster beat. Anyway, Revolution 1 is a verse, pre-chorus, chorus, verse, pre-chorus, chorus, verse, pre-chorus, chorus, and that's the tune. Track 26 is Honey Pie. It's 2 minutes and 41 seconds. It's a Paul McCartney song, and it is track 9 on disc 2. This song is a bit ridiculous. It's in the key of G major. It starts slowly, but then it picks up in the first verse. Everything in this song is 8 bars at the faster tempo, and it's in 4/4 time. The intro, she was a working girl north of England way, blah, 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 blah. And then the verse starts out, honey pie, and it's got this, it's a much faster tempo. You are making me crazy. I'm in love, but I'm lazy. Da, 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 da. It's an 8-bar verse. And then the bridge is, you became a legend of the silver screen, and all the thought of meeting you, it's goes on. It's 8 bars. And then there's an instrumental verse, guitar solo. So like think of the music from the verse. So it's an instrumental, but there's a guitar solo on top of it. That's being played by John Lennon. It's an 8-bar guitar solo. It sounds pretty good. It's good for, I'm a Lennon guy. It's a verse, bridge, verse, that instrumental verse, guitar solo that I just talked about, and then another instrumental verse, and then a bridge, and then a verse, and that's the song. Honey Pie. It's all right. It's not quite a skip, but it's pretty close. Track 27 is Savoy Shuffle, 2 minutes and 54 seconds. This is the 4th George Harrison song. Genius says this is a song about chocolate and Eric Clapton's love for his love for chocolate. You know, George and Eric had this friendship. This is track 10 on side 2, on disc 2. This song has a much better mix and sounds crisper and cleaner than George's other song on this disc, Long, Long, Long. It's a much better track. It's in the key of G major, moderate with a 4/4 beat. And the sheet music allows it shows a time change of 6/8 time for the 3rd bar, and then back to the 4/4 for the 4th bar. So, but it's basically in 4/4 the whole time. The verse is George Harrison singing cream tangerine and Montelemur, a ginger sling with a pineapple heart. He's singing about chocolate for 15 bars. And then the bridge is, you might not feel it now, but when the pain cuts through, he's talking about how terrible chocolate is for you. It's 8 bars. The guitar solo is 12 bars, and George is trading off and interplaying with some like brass instruments. It's not really a guitar solo as it is like a duet, but they're not playing at the same time. It's like the brass will play and then George will play. That's Savoy Shuffle. The song arrangement is verse, bridge, that solo duet thing, and then refrain, bridge, verse. Track 28 is Cry Baby Cry. It's 3 minutes and 1 seconds. It's a John Lennon tune, and Paul McCartney provided the outro. So it's like taking 2 songs and jamming them together. This is track 11 on disc 2. It's in the key of G major. It's in 4/4 time. The verse is, the king of Marigold was in the kitchen cooking breakfast for the queen. It's 12 bars, but it seems to end a bar early, so let's just call it 11 bars. And then the chorus is, cry, baby, cry, make your mother sigh. It's another 12 bars. And then the outro is the 3rd part of this song. This is from the Paul McCartney song called I Will, which is track 16. It's on the first disc, okay? So way back at the end of the first disc. Can you take me back from where I came from? It's 16 bars and it fades out. If I didn't know that, I would have never even realized it was like 2 different songs. But if you're really listening closely, you can tell it's Paul McCartney. They didn't try to disguise it. Verse, chorus, verse, chorus, verse, chorus, verse, chorus, Paul McCartney outro. That's Cry Baby Cried. All right, two more tracks and we're to the end. Track 29 is Revolution 9, 8 minutes and 22 seconds. This track is utter nonsense. It's a big, big skip. Although there's a funny Family Guy spoof of this track. This is track 12 on the second disc. I'll give you guys the link to the Family Guy spoof, which is Brian the dog. Track 30 is Goodnight. It's 3 minutes and 11 seconds. It's a John Lennon song. It has lead vocals by Ringo. And the orchestra in it was scored by George Martin. This is also a skip. This is the fourth skip on the album. It's track 13. It's really, if I were to describe it, it is Ringo just singing a lullaby that was written by John Lennon with a big schmaltzy orchestra. It's in the key of G major. It's a real slow, dreamy, schmaltzy beat in 4/4 time skip. That's the end of disc 2. 93 minutes and 21 seconds. All right, in summary, the White Album sold a lot. It sold 13.7 million. Okay, I think they count each disc as a sale, so it really sold like 6.5 million, but 13.7 million in sales. That was good for number 2 in 1968 behind Iron Butterflies, Indigada Davida. Rolling Stone gave the Beatles 5 stars. AllMusic gave it 5 stars. Just about everybody gave it 5 stars. ProgArchives.com has a user rating of 4.17. When I did the rankings video back in the early spring, I put this at number 7 of 14. Just remember that I only ranked the US versions, and I didn't rank yesterday and today. That's how I got to 14. And I put this 7. I took some heat over that. If I had to do it over again, I'd probably put this ahead of Meet the Beatles. So I would probably give it number 6. I don't think I'd move it up any further. I just think there's a lot of weird stuff on this album. There's at least 2 skips, but really there's like 4 skips on the album. Good Night, Revolution 9, Long, 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 and what's the other Paul one? I Will. Maybe it's I Will. I think some of the Paul McCartney material is really written for himself, by himself, and it's not really for the enjoyment of others, and I think that's probably why I don't like this album as much as the other Beatles albums. I'm not really here to bash songs or albums or musicians. That's not why I do this. I like doing this, but you realize that in order to do ranking videos, I have to take a stand somewhere, and many of these songs on the White Album aren't entertaining to me, and that's why it feels so uneven, and I ranked it in the middle. It's a good... I know a lot of people that say this is my favorite Beatles album. Not me. It's not in my top 6. Or maybe it's 6, right? Maybe it is 6. I don't think it's as good as Abbey Road or Let It Be Naked, Sgt. Pepper. I think those are all better. I can see why this could be your favorite. It's definitely my mom's favorite album for the Beatles, but not me. Okay, let's do some real tactical analysis here. There's 30 songs. The most popular keys for this album are G major has 8 songs. C major has 7. And when you think about it, G major and C major, there's really not too much difference between the two, just one sharp. A major is in 3rd place with 3 tracks, tied with D major for 3, and then F major has two songs. These keys have 1 track each. A minor, B flat major, A major, E flat major, B flat major, A flat major. I think I screwed that up. I think B flat major has 2. Okay, so include B flat major as having 2 with F major. But, you see the Beatles, they're clinging to popular keys. I mean, if you figure 20 of the 30 songs are between G major, C major, A, and D, I mean, that kind of makes sense to me. That's what a lot of the Beatle albums are anyway, just like that. All right, some more tactical analysis. Paul McCartney has 12 songs. Now, I always thought that Paul was driving this album. He wanted to get rid of the psychedelic stuff. He wanted to get back to more traditional rock and roll. He wanted to pay homage to his peeps, and he does that in all these songs. And he's got a lot of songs. I think some of it's definitely filler. What you really should take away of this are two other things. This is really the comeback album for John Lennon, who has 13 tracks. He has the most tracks. He actually has more tracks than Paul. And then the other big takeaway is George. George has 3 really good songs. And then he's got a song that's a skip. But, Savoy, Shuffle, Piggies, and While My Guitar Gently Weeps. It's 3 outstanding songs, and, Gently Weeps is the best song on the album. By far, yeah. Ringo has 1 track. Okay, thanks for listening to this really long, lengthy Beatles, the White Album review. Next on the channel will be Chicago 3 and then Abbey Road. I'm curious to see how many of you made it to the end. Thanks, everybody.